I didn't want to risk mailing it from our box sometimes because I was afraid that he might catch me. So he would go to bed at 10. I'd get in the car about 10:30. I'd wait till he was asleep. Then I'd drive out to the post office box and drop it in there and then come home. Most of the time, he never caught me. Once my husband's out, he's out, you know. And I did that. And the funny thing is I kept that charade up for so long. That's how bad. And I made sure Brent heard from me just about every day. I was sending. And my husband, I did a really good job of keeping that from him. He never knew. I think he knew I was writing Brent, but he had no idea how much I was writing Brent. I really wanted to marry Brent. I didn't want to be with my husband. The only reason I didn't go to Brent is because of this, because I was worried that God would kill me. But I dreamed about making love to Brent every day. My husband wasn't in my fantasies at all at that point. But the thing is, I neglected my teeth. This was in 91, 92. So 92 from about, my husband came home from deployment about June, so I had to submit the teleplay before I could make it as good as I wanted. And then during that time, I was sending rewrites to Brent saying, I said I could make this better. And I kept sending him improvements because I didn't really like it yet. I was a new writer, and I wanted it to be professional level. I wanted it to create something that he could act in that he wouldn't have to be ashamed of at all, and to know that the woman that he loved wrote it for him. So I sacrificed my teeth to try to get that thing done. What happened is because I didn't brush my teeth properly, because I was so frantic and trying to get that thing done before my husband came home from his deployment, that I ended up getting root scaling and planing numbed out in all 4 quadrants, and I still have recession damage from that, from the sacrifice that I made, and from staying up till 2 in the morning working on that teleplay. I remember I worked my brain so hard, there were nights I went to bed with a headache. And then I was exhausted half the time, just pushing myself and pushing. I was just obsessed with getting this thing out and writing a great masterpiece for Brent. That's how much I love the man. I pushed myself. And you can see it. You can see the passion in the work. It's an incredible feat for somebody who had only started learning how to write 1 month before she started working on teleplay. And I learned the screenplay form by going to the library and checking out library books and reading them from top to bottom, because I couldn't afford to buy books on. I found that I really enjoyed working on the screenplay, and I found that I was very good at writing. And I'd say for the fact that I'd only started learning how to write 1 month before I worked on the screenplay, it's incredible. And it did make print eventually, and I'll get into that later, but I wanted to say that I sacrificed my gums and my teeth for that teleplay. What happened is I started feeling pain in my gums, and I went to a dentist, and he put one of them probes in my teeth. He said, you have pockets going 6, 7, I think he said 8. He said, I'm going to have to send you to the periodontis. You're going to have to get some work done on your gums. And I said, oh boy, that's the price I paid for working on that teleplay, not taking care of my teeth. So they had to numb out all 4 of my quadrants and do root scaling and planing, deep cleaning down into the pockets, because I had periodontitis with a gum infection, because I didn't take care of my teeth when I was working on that script. That's the price I paid to try to write a masterpiece for Brent, and I got rejected. But at least it made print. My passion showed, and somebody wanted the world to see that piece. So Melody Rondeau of Data Entries, she found out that I had written that, and she asked me, she said, can I see it? She said, I'd like to print it in my little fanzine for Brent. And I said, sure. I said, well, let somebody read it. I worked so hard on that stinking thing. And I was proud of it. I thought it was quite a feat for somebody who'd only been writing for 1 month. So it made print. And it should have, since I sacrificed my teeth. Anyways, it did. They numbed all 4 of my quadrants out. It cost me quite a bit of money. And I learned my lesson from that experience. I told myself, no matter how passionate you are about your next piece of writing, make sure you take care of your teeth. And I bought an electric toothbrush, and I've been very diligent with taking care of my teeth since then. And I have not. I've decided it's not worth sacrificing my gums to write something. So I've changed my attitude about that. But back then, I was so crazy about Brent. To me, anything was worth it to write something great for him. I also recall that during 1989 and 1990, before Brent wrote me, I had a real thing for him. There were several nights when I would get down on my knees and I felt led to pray for him all night. I prayed for him to be saved, to accept the Lord as his Savior. But I don't know why. There were just certain times. This was in 1989, 1990, that I remember in my apartment in Miami, I would pray for Brent Spiner all night with tears, just crying for him and asking God to help him. So even though I wasn't after him romantically, I cared about him enough to pray for him all night, for several nights. Zero sleep. I was up praying for him all night. And I never told him that I did that for him. It was a secret. It was a secret between me and God. I just had a special love in my heart for that man and a real burden for him. I don't want you to misunderstand. I didn't pray for him 3 nights in a row, but like maybe one night, let's say in September, I'd be up all night praying for him and crying for him, and then maybe 2 months later I'd be up all night again. There were about 3 or 4 nights throughout the year where I remember I prayed for him and I was up all night. I don't know why. I just had a special burden for him. And I never told him that I did that for him. But as intelligent and sensitive as he is, maybe he sensed it. Maybe that's why he fell for me. I never expected him to be romantically interested in me. That wasn't my intention. I thought it would incredibly complicate my life, and that's exactly what it did. But when it happened, I handled it bravely, pretty much,